Good morning from the northwest of England. So today I told myself, right, no excuses, I'm going to do some chores. So I started strong, had some breakfast, messed about with the dog for a little while, had a little coffee, sat down, got up again, carried on, laundry in the machine, dusting cloth in hand, and even the scary pile of dishes finally tackled. But here's the problem. The whole time I'm folding clothes, my brain's like, would these socks look better if I turn them into a necklace? Every swipe of the duster, I'm thinking, I could wire wrap a pendant with that same motion. And even whilst I was staring into the fridge, desperately trying to figure out what on earth to cook for dinner, all I can see is beads. Like, why decide between pasta or stir fry when I could be deciding between glass beads or gemstones? And that's when it hit me. Jewellery making is basically rewiring my brain. Chores can feel endless and repetitive, but jewellery, that's the exciting stuff. Every twist of wire feels like solving a puzzle, and every bead is a tiny burst of joy. And you know what? It's not just for fun, it's actually really good for us. When I'm threading beads, my brain slows down. The stress from all the chores and the day-to-day life and all of those things that we all go through on a day-to-day basis, all of those what's for dinner decisions just melts away. Jewellery making is mindfulness in disguise. Now, don't get me wrong, I still did the chores today. I did them this morning. The laundry's folded, the shelves are dust-free, and yes, I did settle eventually on what to cook for dinner. But let's be honest, my friends, none of those things will last. Tomorrow, the basket's full again, the dust comes back, and yet again, I will definitely be staring into the fridge like it's a crystal ball. But this bracelet that I'm going to make today, it'll still be here tomorrow, it'll still be here next week, and it'll still be here in a month's time. Still there, still looking amazing, sparkling, and making me smile every time I see it. That's the magic of jewellery, isn't it? Chores are temporary, but handmade jewellery, it's timeless, my friends. So sure, I'll keep doing the dusting, the laundry, being a mum, being a partner, being a dog mum, all of those other things, and the endless, constant dinner planning. But in my head, I'll always be wrapping beads. Good morning, my friends. This is Glory. I'm Sam. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel, where we just sit and we faff around with beads and wire and pretty things. Now, if you've got your chores done, I've got my chores done. Bye, Glory. Let's get on and make something pretty today. Look at this. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So I hope you've got a coffee and I hope you've done your chores. I've done mine. Boring, boring. Let's get down to something pretty. Righty-ho, my friends, let us make these beautiful bracelets. Now, I've been experimenting with these and I've made them in two different sizes. So you're going to need some jump rings. So you can either make the smaller version, which is 7mm internal diameter rings with 4mm diameter internal diameter for the small jump rings, or you can make the larger one, which is a little bit more fluid. The larger one, that's 8mm internal diameter and 5mm internal diameter jump rings. Now for the larger one, I've placed 3 of the smaller jump rings in the middles, and for the smaller one, you just get away with 2. So it's up to you. So you're going to need some jump rings, all right? So I'm just going to move those out of the way. So 8s and 5s, or 7s and 4s, it's entirely up to you. Now, if you want to know how to make jump rings the cheap, easy way, I'll leave a little link up here to how I make mine. And apart from that, you are going to need a good pair, well, 2 good pairs of chain nose pliers in which to open and close your jump rings. And you're going to need some beads, all right? So for the larger version, I've used 5 O's, sorry, beg your pardon, 3 O's. And for the smaller version, I've used 5O seed beads. All right, you probably get away with 6 O's if you can't find 5 O's. I use the Preciosa because I like them. And today we're going to be making a copper bracelet with pearly seed beads. Okay, so I'll clear the table away and hopefully I'll be able to show you how to do this. I'll see you in a few. Okay, so just a very quick note about how these sit on the wrist. The smaller version has a little less articulation in it. The larger version is quite fluid and flowy, like so. As you can see, you know, it's got quite a lot of movement to it. But the smaller version is a little tighter where the jump rings meet, so you get a little, just a slight touch more structure to it, which I prefer actually. So I'm going to be showing you how to make this one. The principle is the same for both sizes. I like this one particularly. So let's get going. You're going to need some 7 and 4mm jump rings. So I'll just put out a few so I can show you the initial way to do it. If this is what I've learned. It's good when you can teach yourself things and learn from other wonderful YouTube people. Actually, a shout out to Aussie Maille, credit where it's due. I learned how to do this Helm weave from one of her tutorials, so thank you very much for that. I've just altered slightly the sizes of the jump rings. So my best advice is to get out your jump rings and open them all up first. So I'll be back in a sec. Righty ho, let's go. So hopefully now you have got your selection of jump rings and you've opened them all up. It's much easier to do this if they're already open. All right, take it from me. Ask me how I know this. I say that a lot, don't I make a lot of mistakes when I'm doing this kind of thing. And you're going to need some beads. All right, so I'm just going to shift these out the way so hopefully that we can focus on what we're doing. So let's have a few seed beads. These are 5O seed beads. Can you see those at the top of the screen? Just about. I don't want to clutter up my screen because I want to be able to focus on what we're doing. So hopefully I'll pull in closer when I'm editing. Right. So what I suggest you do is get a little tiny piece of wire, like so, that you're going to use to hold these two together. So you start with 2 7mm jump rings, put them together, and pop your little piece of wire through, and that just holds everything in place. Give it a twist, and that just holds those 2 jump rings together, because initially you need a little bit of something to hold on to. So there's our 2 7mm jump rings together. Let's take a few of these and separate them. Then we're not faffing around. There we go, that'll do. And a few of these. Okay, so if you look at the anatomy of this, you've got 2 jump rings with a jump ring in the middle held together by 2 smaller jump rings ad infinitum. All right, so bring in your first 4mm jump ring and pop it like so in between the 2 7mm, and just close that jump ring up like this. So we have this. I want to do that again in the same space. Take a 4mm in the same space, like so, and close that up like so. So this is what we have. We have 2 7mm and 2 4mm coming out like that. Now this is the bit where hopefully I can describe this properly. So we take a 7mm, and if we hold the jump rings like so, what we want to be doing is placing this 7mm in between those 2 7mm jump rings and bypassing the 4mm, slide the 7mm through so that it sits in between those two and has the 2 4mm jump rings inside. Apparently that little section there is called the eye. So you want a little eye here with the 2 4mm in between. So let's close that up so I can show you. All right, so we've got our 2 and our 2 smaller ones and that larger one in the center. Now that's just for a regular helm weave, but what we want to do is pop some beads on here. So when you've slid it through, you want to pop the 2 4mm to one side, like so, so that we have this, and hold it with your fingernail. Can you see? Pop a bead on this side, like so. Then move those 4mm jump rings to the other side and pop on another bead. Feels a bit fiddly, but trust me, if I can learn how to do this, you can too. And then close your jump ring. So this is what we have. Can you see? 2, 1 in between, and the 2 4mm in the eye in the center. What we want to do now is take another 7mm, like so, and making sure that those beads are placed like this on either side of the 2 4mm. We want to place a 7mm inside the 4s. You see how I did that? Do it again. So make sure these beads are down, not up like this. They want to be down behind the 4mm hole. All right, and then close that up. And then you want to turn your piece over like so. You want to do exactly the same on the other side. So take your 7mm, and then with the beads down here, place your 7mm through the 4mm. And that's your first section done. Really easy once you grasp how to do this. Took me a few goes, a few tries, and there we have it. So that's our first section. All right, so let's start on the next section. So take 2 of your 4mm jump rings, like so, and we want to place them through the 2 larger jump rings, like so. Close your jump rings up. You see that? And then your next 4mm, and again through the 7s, close that up. So as you can see here, we have the 2 4s coming out of the 2 7s. Take a 7, and then we want to place it inside these 2, like so, out the other side, but make sure that those two 4mm are inside this 7mm here. Okay, pop the 4mm to one side, add a bead. Pop the 4mm to the left, add another bead, like so, and then just come in and close that 7mm jump ring, like so. All right, so we've got the start of our next set of our next unit here. So you want 2 more 7s. Take your first 7, and with the beads, make sure the beads are on either side of your 4mm. Sometimes they will fight you, which this is doing here. Hang on a second. There we go, typical. So as you can see, there's a little bead on either side of the 4mm. Take your 7, and with the beads downwards, place your 7 through the 4s, like so, and tighten that up. Turn it over and do exactly the same on the other side, making sure your beads are behind. Place your 7 through the 4s. And then tighten that up. So that's your next unit done. Can you see that? So we have 2 units. Let me just hold those together so you can see how that looks. Isn't it beautiful? I'll just do one more and then we'll come back when you've made it as long as you need to. So take your 2 4mm through the 7s. Your next one through the 7s, like so. Can you see here that we've got our 2 4s through the 2 7s, like that? And then this is where this bit's a little tricky when you first try it, but it gets easier the more you do it. So we want to go through the center, through the middle of those 2 with our open jump ring, and then out the other side, making sure that those 2 4mm are inside. So holding these with your fingers, pop your 4mm to the right, pop your jump ring on, and pop those 4mm to the left, pop your jump ring on, and then very gently, carefully obviously, close this one up. Okay, so then we go to our final part of this particular section. Take your 7, making sure these beads are behind. Pop your 7 through your 4s. Close it up. Turn your piece over. And do the same thing. Take your 7 and place it through your 4s, like so. And that, my friends, is how you do it. It's really, really easy when you get going. Yeah, just as long as you make sure all the time that your beads are to the back. You don't want them up here, you want them towards the back. All right, so I'll just close this section up so that it doesn't get funky. And then I'll meet you back when we've made a length to however, you know, whatever your desired length is. just sort of play around with the length until you decide that it's correct for you. So I've made mine, you know, let's measure it, shall we? My section of beads is about 16 centimeters, which is about 6¼ inches. And then I've finished it off with some jump rings at the end, you know, and obviously to put a clasp on. All right, so I'll see you in a few when you've continued to make this cute little section here. All right, so I'll see you in a bit. Righty ho, how are we getting along? I am almost at the end now, and we're just going to finish this little last section off. So we take our 4mm through the 7s, close that up, and then take another 4. Hope you've managed to do this okay. Through the 7s again, like that. So we have our 2 4s coming out of our 2 7s. Take a 7 and again pop it through the 2 7s there. Okay, like that. Jump rings to one side, pop your bead on. Whoops. Pop your bead on. Do it again, Sammy. There we are, like that. Jump rings move to the left, pop another bead on, like that, and close up your jump ring, like so. And then just come in with your 2 last 7s. Make sure your beads are down there, through, like that. Turn your bracelet over and then get your final 7mm jump ring, and then through those 2 size 4s like that, and then close up. And that, my friends, is the end of my particular size bracelet. All right, so can you see how that looks? Now then, what I've done on this one to keep it secure is I've put 3 4mm on each side. All right, so I'll just do that quickly, just because I think it closes the ends up nicely, and helps those beads from, you know, from moving around a little bit at the ends. So 3 4mm through your 7mm on the end. That's 1 and 2 and 3, like this. There we go. So 3 on the end instead of 2. And then if you want to just unfurl this wire, I've just literally used 0.4 26 gauge to hold those together. Get rid of that, and again you want 3 jump rings at the end. And then we're just going to finish it off with a very simple shepherd's hook clasp. Now there's lots and lots of lovely clasps that you can use if you choose to. You want to make a decorative one, that's absolutely fine. Just do whatever you like. I prefer just a very simple shepherd's hook on this one, just because I think the design itself is quite intricate. So I like a bit of something plain. So as you can see here, we've got 3 jump rings, 3 4mm on one side and 3 4mm on the other. All right, so let's dispense with all of these. Now on this one here, I've put 2 5mm and 2 5mm in between. So I'm just going to grab my 5s, just because I wanted to give myself a little bit of scope, you know, for size. If you wanted to make it slightly larger, you can, slightly smaller, you can. Entirely up to you, this part of it. There we go. So that's 1 5. Oh, there we we go. All these jump rings stick together, don't they? That's the other 5. There we have that. And then the same on the other side. So let's pop these through our 3 little jump rings. I do hope you enjoy making this, and I hope that I've explained it as well as other wonderful wire artists and clever people. Probably not, but you know, this is what I've been making this week. I've become a little bit obsessed with these, so I've been making quite a few. I'm gonna have to either give them away, or you know, I've got a few fundraising things that you can make these kind of things for, or indeed sell them. You know, why not make yourself a little bit more money in these times where we're all a bit short of cash. Right, so to make the little clasp, let me have a look. Yeah, I use 16 gauge. So just move this out of the way. I'm just going to see if I've got let me see. Yeah, I've just got a little pad here which I'm just going to clean. Just going to clean this little bit of wire, just so that it's not tarnished. That'll do. There we are. And literally just cut a little section off. I don't know, about how many inches is that? How many centimeters? Let's have a look. I'm going to say about 5 centimeters, 2 inches would be absolutely and completely sufficient. So what you do is just bring in your pliers. Oh, got mucky fingers now. Never mind. Excuse my mucky fingers. And then just bend the end over to make your little hook. Give that a squeeze. There we go. And then come in with the bail making plier and just make a shepherd's hook, like so. Doesn't have to be huge. Oh, come off. And then what about, I don't know, a centimetre or so. And then just use the smallest mandrel, like this. Now I would give this a tap with my hammer just to make it nice and, you know, hard work hardened. I won't do that at the moment because you don't need to see me hammering. And then all you do is put your clasp on the last jump ring. And that, my friends, is your beautiful Helm weave beaded bracelet. How gorgeous are those? I'm in love with these, and typically for me, I'm obsessed. Obsessed. Let's see if I can put this on. Let's see if I can do it off camera. So there we go. Obsessed with them, aren't they gorgeous? Beautiful. So have fun making those. And again, like I say, I hope I've demonstrated it sufficiently for you. And I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. And don't bother with the chores. Just make something beautiful.